I think coffee it's like a gray area in our diet, but I believe that sometimes the craving for coffee can hide some deeper energy crisis. You know what I mean? That you see it a lot in, I think, people that they do the carnivore diet or the ketogenic diet. They do it not so correctly, and then they get all these cravings because they lack of energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, yeah, you can, and of course, coffee it's in and of itself is addictive as well, the caffeine, and so and people
Yeah.
get very used to just having that morning cup of coffee, having that ritual, and getting a bit of a wake up, and it's nice, and then you start your day sort of on a good foot. But you actually feel much better when you don't use that at all, but you have to get through sort of the withdrawals as well. And when people, there can be a chain of things. People will say they're doing a carnivore diet, but really what they mean is they're eating a lot more meat and they're cutting out a lot of other things. Really what they're doing is like a heavily meat-based ketogenic diet. And sometimes people aren't even doing a ketogenic diet. People that eat honey and fruit, they're not even doing keto, right? They're eating a lot of meat, but they're also eating sugar and carbs. A lot of those things are going to mess with your results and mess with how good you feel. If you're eating any amount of carbs, that's going to raise your insulin. That's going to make it so you have higher blood sugar, but then that's going to decline because your insulin is going to stay up longer than your blood sugar will. And so you're going to feel tired. So I know people that will still be drinking milk and they're just like, oh, I just have horrible energy. I just have such bad energy on a carnivore diet. I hate it. And I find out that they're drinking, a couple glasses of milk. Well, what that's going to do is it's going to raise your insulin enough that you're going to kick you out of ketosis. You're not going to be able to mobilize your fat stores, and you're going to run out of those carbs, and now your blood sugar is going to go low. When you have 1/3 of the glycogen stored in your muscles and your liver, and so you're going to run out of energy quicker, and you're just going to just feel tired and go to sleep. This is what historically people would have a glass of milk before bed to help them sleep. That's probably that mechanism, where they're having a bit of carbs and it's just enough to just raise their insulin enough and then drop their blood sugar so that they get lethargic and tired. And
It's a roller coaster.
it is, yeah, that's exactly it. Your blood sugar is going up and down and up and down, and your insulin's going up and down and up, or really up and up and up. And so when you're eating a lot of fruit and you're eating a lot of honey, you're going to mess with your energy. And again, you're going to shut down your body's ability to mobilize fat and to run on the fat. And you're going to have to rely on your glycogen and blood sugar, which only has a limited capacity. So you're going to find that I need to eat more, I need to eat more. And this is why you see people that are eating carbohydrates on a carnivore diet, they steadily increase their carbohydrate load. I mean, a lot of people have, like a bit of fruit and some honey, and then they're like, oh, it's just not really helping with my energies. And they find that I feel better when I'm eating more carbs. Well, of course you do. You feel better if you're doing more Coke too. This is like you're feeding a problem that's not that like an addiction, right? So that's the problem with carbohydrates, is that you start eating carbohydrates, you're locked in. You have to keep eating carbohydrates because you can't mobilize your fat stores. So eating a low carb, like some carbs, I think is you feel worse than no carbs, because if you're no carbs, then your body is actually mobilizing your fat stores. If you're low carbs, then you're done. You've raised your insulin and you've blocked that process. And so you have to start eating more carbs. I find that as well when people, start going back to carbs, like, oh, I feel so much better. Yeah. For now. And then you start eating more carbs and more carbs and more carbs, and you end up putting on weight and not doing as well. And you have to keep feeding the beast. You have to keep feeding carbohydrates to yourself. That idea of, we talked about before, you have to eat carbs in order to burn carbs. There was an interesting study that I read from 1981 looking at wolves, because that was the argument back then. You have to eat carbs in order to burn carbs. And they're like, well, wolves don't carbo load for 10 hours before they chase or before they don't carbo load before they chase caribou for 10 hours. So do they have blood sugar? Do they have glycogen? Do they have liver glycogen? And they found out, yes, they do. And it's rock solid. It does not change no matter what they're doing. If they're at rest, running, chasing, eating, killing, before they eat, after they eat, it is here. It is always here. And so, and we've known this in humans as well. You talk about people talking about how best to treat type 1 diabetes and this, that, and the other. And the argument is now is that, you have to eat carbohydrates as a type 1 diabetic, or else you'll get hypoglycemic and you can die. This is very dangerous. So you need to eat carbs. Okay, but why are you taking the insulin then? You're taking the insulin so that you can utilize the blood sugar, and so they don't get too high. Okay, but now you have to give yourself more carbohydrates so you don't get too low. Okay, well, take less insulin, first of all, right? And, because
Exactly.
you don't, there's just sort of you're just sort of like,
It's a vicious cycle.
yeah, that's it. You're taking in carbohydrates because you're taking insulin, but then you need more insulin. Oh, so I need more carbs, and you just keep doing this and keep doing this and keep doing this, and you can keep your blood sugar sort of here, but you're eating a lot more carbs and you're taking a lot more insulin, and that's a problem. We've
Exactly.
actually been treating type 1 and type 2 diabetes for well over 100 years. I think it actually started back in the 1800s, putting people on a ketogenic diet, or yeah, anyway, well, around 100 years anyway, that we've been treating people with this. And they found that it actually just really stabilizes your blood sugar. So you even a type 1 diabetic, you need just generally, people just need a background dose, the basal dose, like a long-acting insulin at a very low dose that will just sort of
That's
take
technical.
Yeah, and so I don't know.
Like the amount you just keep in order to keep it in line, and so it, as you say, it won't fall and won't go up. But as soon as you get the doses right, so it's the same as you doing carnivore. Like I'm doing carnivore, and my blood sugar stay between 70 to 100. Like
Yeah,
it's becoming simple.